Let's zoom in on some bits in the opening track, because I think that really sets the scene of this moral universe.
Underwater blue flame swimming in smoke to a cave with a fist full of crystals. Dead center in the making of minerals, never been broke, so tell me what's the fix for it. Send him home.
It was because of Blank Slate that I was initially thinking about connection with Carnellian, and particularly the song Broke on Carnellian. The idea of, okay, if things are broken, really experience their brokenness, like right now, in the USA at the moment.
Right.
Recognize how broken things are.
Right.
The making of minerals that have been broke, so tell me what's the fix for, is your lyric, and it just reminded me of, again, Crescent Moon's Broke and Made to Fix. How does that speak to you? And my gloss of it is, yes, if something's broken, don't immediately assume that it's an easy fix. Acknowledge the brokenness of it, and maybe through the pain of realizing what the reality is, then there might be some kind of healing.
Yes.
Yeah, is that
Yes.
what it's getting at?
Yes.
Yeah, but only then, possibly.
I love that. Yeah, like this is gonna take on like what just happened is I feel like what is really important right now. You kind of paraphrasing what you would assume I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is typically me being like, yeah, there's no way I could say that, but thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that and like say thank you for
you're
like
welcome.
That's a skill like that not everybody has.
Yeah. Thank you, Kristoff. So yeah, let's journey through some other moments that strike me as interesting, and let me know if I'm not getting it. So just after that, send them home kindly, then race to the throne. All praise, give that a go. Less angst, more animal. That lyric also struck me because there's the previous Kill the Vultures record before Carnellian.
Etche Beast.
Etche Beast.
Yeah.
The whole man as beast.
Low spitting image of God, the clothes neon. Hot sucking it from the steam to flow free on. Big blink state I can lay both feet on. Dive in deep through a hole, known freedom. Scotch shake out of the bones, the souls beyond.
With the references to snake eyes throughout, we were talking almost like about the, almost like a spirit animal. Recognizing man as beast, not as a means of saying, he's not heavenly, he's this terrible thing instead. You need to inhabit the animal side. And then something actually, then there's the infinite love. There's something, unless you're in touch with this visceral animal component, then what the record is claiming exists. The positive things that the record is claiming exists can't be experienced without less angst, more animal. Less angst than what?
Beautifully put.
Yeah, oh great.
Yes. Yes.
So, is it less angst than...
Yeah, we've been tamed. It's like the idea that we've been tamed, like the wild, like this wild side of us is a real thing.
There are references to sheep. There's one or two references to sheep in the record. So there are some animals that, just in our metaphors when we talk about sheep following, like being in a herd, like herd creatures. That's not the type of animal to be. There's an aggressive, yes, I am this thing. I am the snake, I am the creature with the snake eyes. But it's not, obviously in Christianity, the creature with the snake eyes is the devil. And as that song is highlighting, the protagonist of this record is kind of being told, you are bad if you think about yourself in that way. So it's almost like redeeming the animal.
Sure.
Why angst though? Why do we need less angst in particular? What's wrong with angst?
I think I'm referencing a little more of like the crippled confessional, like speaking from a perspective of the victim. I guess is kind of what comes to mind.
Because they've been told that they are bad.
Right.
Yeah. Sadistik's record is called Altars. In the song Water that you have with him, there's an acknowledgement that water is thicker than blood and that we are made of water. It's almost like a call to, again be in touch with like the elements. It's similar to Less Angst, More Animal, yeah? The acknowledgement that we are of nature and that there's water in us. Something similar is happening. Yeah? His record's called Altars, and you have passed the background check with flying colours. I got nothing to offer your altar. So again, it's these same like, burn the confessional, I got nothing to offer your altar. And yet there's the praying. You've listened to that record Altars on repeat. I saw you posted about it, and you found it very inspiring. So it's almost like, this record and perhaps that record too, and to some extent Carnellian, they're trying to kind of take from this religious imagery the same positive thing that there has always been, but cleanse it of something that you personally found to be damaging and producing of angst, which is not good. Is that something that you set yourself as a challenge, consciously or not, for this record? Or is that something that you've kind of always been wanting to do with your art or in life? This grappling with this religious imagery and kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, that's always been at the pit of my need to kind of shake out the pinch in my hip or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and there's no doubt, like the Sadistik, Kill the Vultures, Joe Horton, Graham O'Brien, Adam Peter Pisano, my brother. There's so many root systems that I've been interacting with and kind of like, bouncing back and forth in between that are like real integral parts of what came to be here. That's kind of the reality, and it's part of like, it also speaks upon like drawing from many different spiritual traditions or however you want to view it. Is drawing from all these different lexicons and kind of lineages. It's a schizophrenic spiritual identity for many people.
You're acknowledging that there is this affinity with Carnellian and the Kill the Vultures. That's part of like the soil, from which the seed that is this record is kind of grown. When Carnellian came out, City Pages described it as an exploration of the dark side of morality. There's lots of moral questioning, part of what Alexei is doing with his lyrics there, which I know you really value because he just recently put them out online, didn't he?
Yes, he
all
did.
The lyrics came out. So let's just zoom in on a few of his. In Topsoil, at your weakest moment, what would you compromise? I'd tell you take a minute if I wanted lies. There's a call there for authenticity and cutting the fat. It reminds me of the idea of cutting the fat. Are there any moments where you're least tolerant of people who don't hold themselves to this standard of being completely true to themselves about what they would compromise, for example?
Well, I don't even know if it's as simple as being like to people who don't do this thing, because we all do, like we're all.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like them, like those people, versus it's more like, that's me, that's me and you, that's, that's all of us.
Kairos is about like the moment, and there is a sense of urgency in the record. Is it almost like a call to arms, let's be more authentic? Now is a time when it's especially important to...
I would just say, simply back to the octopus, don't fucking assume that you know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's as simple as... if there could be one, actual stronghold of what is going on, don't assume that you know what's going on. I'm talking to myself, talking to anyone. I want people to say that to me all the time.
Yeah.
Because... the minute that I forget about that, then I start doing things. It's not what it could be.
The idea of criminals of crime comes up in both Carnellian and this record too. Like in Carnellian, in Shake Your Bones, don't blink, you might miss the pivotal plot. Don't think, you are what a criminal's not. And then in Topsoil, this crime ain't feeling right, boss. Looked better with the lights off. So there's this idea of, I think there, I don't know if I'm reading this lyric as Alexei kind of intended, but it's almost as if there are these characters in Carnellian that think they can get away with this kind of dastardly behaviour and no one will see. And it's almost as if Alexei's moral universe is somewhere where there isn't necessarily a God figure that will come in and make everyone have their just desserts, like poetic justice. And yet there still is something about the nature of things that means that if you're a hypocrite, if you come in and you just kind of spout shit in the interview, or if you kind of pontificate and you claim you have all the answers but you know you don't, then it's not necessarily the case that you'll be found out, but you'll feel it. Like this voice here, this climate feeling right, boss, look better with lights off. You can't get away with things.
Sure.
You can't get away with being a hypocrite. From your experience, the moments when you feel like you're being truest to yourself and you at least bullshit, you've cut the most fat, those are the moments that feel best, and those are the moments to aim for. And shine on in those moments. Shine on with moments like that. It's like getting at what it means to shine on. You just said something and it rang true, shine on in that way. Anything more is unattainable. You just like find your truth and shine on in that truth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Feels right?
Yeah. Good.
It feels real right.
Shine on.